everyone, and welcome to Give, Send, Go Spotlight TV, where we are spotlighting campaigns that we have from all over the world on our new Spotlight Campaign TV channel with Give, Send, Go. This is something that we're building out, and we have the opportunity to just interview and talk with some amazing people that are raising funds on our platform for a wide variety of different things. And this morning, I have the opportunity to talk with Scott Mineo. I think I'm producing that correctly, Mineo?
Mineo or Mineo, I go by either.
Okay, yeah, so Scott has a campaign currently on Give, Send, Go. It is givesendgo.com/stop CRT. For those of you that don't know, CRT stands for critical race theory. So the campaign, again, the link is givesendgo.com/stop CRT. And we'll finish with that link at the end as well, for those of you that want to go check out exactly what Scott is raising funds for on his campaign. But just to kick it off, Scott, why don't you just tell people that are watching a little bit about who you are and kind of your background?
Sure. My name is Scott Mineo, and I've been following or keeping my eye on the critical race theory ball for about 2 years. And here in Loudon County, things really started to escalate last year when COVID hit. And so I really started diving into the school's materials and information. And a lot of parents, the majority of parents were, fighting to get their kids back into school last fall. And I created a website just to try to get some information out there so parents knew what was going on within the school system. The materials that were being offered, lesson plans, training plans, insidious partners that they've aligned themselves with. Because I was very familiar with what they were doing, but nobody else really was, because it was kind of like the shiny object over here was COVID and lockdown, and everybody wanted their kids back in school. Well, my son has graduated last month, and my daughter's in 11th grade, so I wasn't worried about them getting back in school. They were doing fine. But I get the reason that a lot of people were very impassioned about getting their kids back in school. But I was of the firm belief that, guys, we got to walk and chew gum at the same time here, because this is going to come on like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Okay.
So then, and I kept putting information out there. Well, I was getting some traction. Not a lot of people were really diving into this whole CRT stuff, trying to understand or, looking at things. The traffic was moderate. But then on February 25th of this year, we broke a story about the Loudon County Public Schools canceling Dr. Seuss. And then the very next day, Chrissy Clark from the Daily Wire picked up the story and ran with it, thank God, because she's obviously got she and Ben Shapiro have a much bigger audience than I do. And then from there, it just went all over. And what people don't realize is when they look at critical race theory, they hear critical race theory, conjures up thoughts of a stack of books over here and a dictionary over here. Dr. Seuss was a quintessential, most basic example of critical race theory in action.
Dr. Seuss was?
Yeah, the cancellation of his books.
The cancellation of Dr. Seuss. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And so, I mean, I've definitely, obviously, I've heard about Loudon all over the news over the past several weeks, several months. So you're kind of in the middle of that whole situation over there with what's happening. So critical race theory, obviously an example of how it plays out would be getting Dr. Seuss pulled. But can you, for those that might not know, could you give a watered down or just an easy explanation of critical race theory to people that are out there and are saying, okay, I'm starting to hear this a lot. What is this?
Yes, I'll do that. And then I'm going to take it a step further, because I think we have a problem in our country with messaging around this. So from a high level, critical race theory is the belief that the United States is institutionally, systemically racist, meaning any and every institution in our country, legal, educational, financial, automotive, otherwise, is riddled with racism. that white people control the entire narrative within the country today, and that there's not an area or an element of our society that isn't tainted with white supremacy or racism, and that white people are implicitly biased, meaning they're racist, but they just don't know it, and they were that way since they were born. As I said, when this whole critical race theory topic conjures up needing a stack of books over here and a dictionary to understand what's going on, and that and the whole implicit bias and white privilege, that whole narrative in the news, it's all true, but the problem is it's a giant distraction from getting people really involved. So what I've done is I'm in the process of breaking critical race theory out into three, like a product, right? Number one, you have the theoretical conceptual phase, right? That's the brainchilds behind developing this wacky stuff. Phase two, and this is all high level. Phase two is like the manufacturing or the production of critical race theory and everything that falls under it, because there's 1,000,001 tenets, right? And that it's a little bit more complicated, but that's another part of it. The last part, which we're working on now to really change the direction of this narrative so people can understand, is what I refer to as the implementation and delivery phase or aspect of critical race theory. And that is the parts where parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles in the community can understand at their school level what the resources are, who wrote the resources, which community organizers are involved in bringing this information and pushing it and peddling it in our schools, who are the equity consultants within the school. So what we want to do is be able to take it to that level that parents and the community can actually feel pain for their students, pain for their friends, pain for their kids, in the sense of the indoctrination material. So we want to bring it down to a level that people understand how and where this is being implemented versus having the need to, or the belief to have a need of a stack of books.
Okay, so this is basically, it sounds like you're getting resources into the hands of people. It sounds like what you're coming up with. Is that what
it's resources? Exactly. But it has, I don't care about the people that developed this theory years ago, right? Because we can get lost in theoretical discussions about that, and that's not going to get us anywhere. What is going to get us somewhere is for people to understand at their local level what this pervasive information is that's seeping into their community and their school systems.
Yeah.
We can get angry about the term white privilege or implicit bias, but it's not going to get us anywhere, right? What we have to be able to do is be able to funnel it down and see the delivery and implementation phase as a tangible,
yeah,
to sink our teeth into it so we know what we can get angry about and we know exactly what to target.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I completely following. And I think one of the things that I've seen that's caused, at least on the ground level in local communities, is this idea of divorcing CRT from equity, diversity, inclusivity, and creating them as separate categories. So when talking to a school board about are you teaching critical race theory or something like that, they go, no, we don't do anything with critical race theory, but there's this whole idea of equity, diversity, inclusivity that they do inundate with, and they say it's completely divorced. Critical race theory is something different. Do you see those two ideas as being in essence the same thing?
100%.
Okay.
There's no difference. In fact, what happens is, this is what they do, and I put a post out there the other day, is when a phrase or a term that they are using begins to take on a lot of negative heat, they change it, right? So the superintendent in our school systems, or in our county, is an idiot, because he's flat out lied and said that critical race theory is not being taught in our school systems. Rather, it's culturally responsive framework and teaching. Okay. But I presented to him an invoice that came from the county. There was a line item for the development and focus of critical race theory development and training. And then right below that line item on this invoice was another item for culturally responsive teaching and framework. Okay. It's the same thing. They can't tell you what the difference is, but it's the same thing. It's all part of the same diabolical plan. Anywhere where you see white privilege, inclusivity, inclusion, diversity, equity, ethnic studies, implicit bias, anything, institutional racism, anything like that, that falls under the umbrella of critical race theory. But what they're doing now is you've got a guy by the name of Ibrahim Kennedy, right? He's not a pioneer of critical race theory. He's just a radical racist from Manassas, Virginia, who changed his name. However, what they're doing is he's coming out and he's been a big proponent of critical race theory and anti-racism forever, for years. But what they're doing is they're pushing this new concept that no, Kennedy said the other day on Joy Reid's show, no, I'm not a critical race theorist because I don't have a law degree. Right? You have to have a law degree to talk about some sort of theory. Now you're trying to backpedal and you're making yourself and the entire movement look stupid, right? Just you don't have to have a law degree, right? Just because there were some radical kooks, there were illegal academics that developed this. No, I mean, they're just looking for an excuse. So my son is actually investigating some historical discussions involving Kennedy, and we're going to put something out on one of our new websites to completely counter that narrative, because these people get tripped up. They try to spin it in a different direction to make people like me look like I have no idea what I'm talking about. And we catch them at every turn.
Okay.
And it's a constant shell game with these people. But long-winded answer to your question, any of these things like equity, diversity, inclusion, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
critical race theory. There's a million tenets.
Sure. So let me wrap this back around, because obviously we've talked about your campaign. Its name was Stop CRT. And so, and you gave us kind of the history of your involvement in the local school district there in Loudon, and looking at some of this and kind of bringing it to light. So what was the impetus for starting your campaign in the first place? Just, you've got a crowdfunding campaign, you're out there doing your thing, and you're saying, okay, well, let me set up a campaign. What was the motivation there?
So on March 12th of this year, there was a school board member in our county that put out a call to action to her radical followers in the county. They all belong to a private Facebook group called Anti-Racist Parents of Loudon. And what they did is they began to systematically put together, and they did a pretty good job, of a plan to target and go after me, my family, my business, my employer, and other friends and family, or other parents and some teachers that oppose critical race theory. They didn't like that I was coming out strong and calling people out, so they wanted to come after us. Well, that was on March 17th, I opened up a GoFundMe because I saw where this was going. A week later, the same group of people, and it extended into the Loudon County Public Schools Administration building, had my GoFundMe closed down. Why? I don't know, because GoFundMe has a list of 28 different policy violations that are so subjective, they don't even understand what it means. So a friend of mine that's a state delegate in the state of Virginia said, Scott, check these people out, give Send Go. He goes, it's a great Christian organization. They don't bend to the woke. And that's what led me to you guys. And, okay. It's been great. Even if you put aside the basic GoFundMe taking me down because they're woke, or they're sellouts, or whatever the case is. If you take that element out of the mix and pretend like that wasn't even part of the conversation, your platform and their platform, there is no comparison. They're $1 billion company, and their platform pales in comparison to what you guys have to offer, because it's so easy. It's so the interactive part of it is it's just easy to use, because I'm not a tech whiz. right? But I think it's just so much more intuitive and user friendly than what GoFundMe has to offer. And again, I'm not being biased or against GoFundMe for what they did. I'm trying to be objective from looking at it from a platform to platform perspective. I think you guys are much better. And then let's tack on the fact that you get behind people like me and what we're doing, and that is greatly appreciated. And God knows we need it in this day and age.
Sure. No, I definitely love hearing that type of feedback. Our team is constantly one of the biggest thing to get from people oftentimes, or the hardest thing is to get any type of feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, because we're always looking to say, how can we improve? What can we do to be better? We've got a great team, a small team, which allows us to be very nimble in making changes, taking feedback and implementing it really quickly for people, and dealing with the things that come across our plate. We created Give, Send, Go for that purpose to, obviously, me as one of the owners of Give, Send, Go, and even my sister, we have our own ideas and belief systems about how we think the world operates or should operate, and various things. But our platform fundamentally is a platform for the diversity of ideas, because I personally think that it's only in investigation that we actually find truth in the first place. So when you shut down the opportunity to investigate by censoring things, you literally rob people of being able to actually find truth on any side, because there's no investigation anymore. And from a biblical perspective, because I am a Christian, that's Jesus says, if you seek me, you'll find me. It's an act of investigation. It's a seeking. And he calls himself truth. And so it's like, listen, and we don't even mind campaigns that come on that we don't agree with, because we believe that ultimately in that discourse of ideas, that truth is found. And so for us to tear somebody's ability to do this, it has massive negative consequences that are more far-reaching than shutting down ideas that we don't agree with. So, but I am so glad that you found Give, Send, Go, and that we were thinking of putting an ad out recently, just a little promotion saying, "Thank you, GoFundMe, for being our greatest supporter."
You know what?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, really.
Like there was a story a couple of weeks ago. So I think it's Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire, right? So AOC was complaining that her grandmother's house was destroyed in Puerto Rico because of a hurricane, and Donald Trump refused to do anything to fix it. So what did this guy do from the Daily Wire? He created a GoFundMe account to raise money for her grandmother. He raised $100,000, but they shut it down. But you see where I'm going.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that would be genius.
Yeah. Oh yes. No, it's a pull on GoFundMe. I mean, it is crazy. The shift of these companies. I think it was a lot of people just didn't see it coming. So now there's like this race to catch up and try to bring some stability back into the market. Thankfully, we still have a country that allows some of that free market for entrepreneurs and people to push these new products out there to compete and bring some stability and fairness back into the overall market. But so right now you've got a campaign. I see that it just passed $30,000, which is awesome. You're in the midst of this look into CRT and it being pushed through the school systems. Now we're in summer break time. So a lot of school boards and things, I think, have taken some time off for a couple months. What does the next couple months look like for you?
So what we're working on now is there's 3 initiatives. One, within I know our school district, I know the ones in Fairfax County, all of Northern Virginia, and actually elsewhere in Virginia, and I suspect it's the same across the country, that at a school board table, right, you've got 4 committees. You have the NAACP at every single table involved in curriculum and discipline and this and that, all these different committees, right? Them and their cronies. So one of the initiatives that I'm working on with another nonprofit in Loudon County is we are going to force our way. We're going to start a campaign and force our way at a seat right next to the NAACP at every single table. Hold them accountable. Call them out on their BS, right? Call them out on their racism. And you know how you do this? You use their own material against them. Yeah. That's the best way to fight them. What are they going to do? Call you racist using their own material? Come on. So that's number one.
You're pulling one from the greatest play 8 Mile, Eminem in his like
Papa Doc.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Papa Doc. I talk about this with my son all the time. The sooner you can cut you know you're going into a situation, you cut yourself down, not because you think so, but because it's opposition to your enemy. You know what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Very few people get that reference. And Eminem, oh, he's a crazy guy. That was one of the most genius maneuvers I've really taken to.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, it kind of popped into my head. It was smooth, but
I bet you didn't think you were going to spawn that type of reaction, huh? From 8 Mile, right?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
So that's one thing. Another thing we're working on is something. So you know how at the end of July, early August, you have this whole back to school thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rebrand it, and I'm going to push out something called Pack to School. And Pack to School, I'm going to equip the parents and the kids with notebooks, information of all the insidious material in our classrooms, in our schools. Again, this is specific to Loudon, but I think the concept could be easily deployed elsewhere. QR codes. So if they're in class or the parents are there or something, they can scan a QR code, goes right to my email, send me the image, send me the document, send me the video, send me the voice memo, whatever the case is. The point is to make it as easy as possible for parents to be able to communicate anonymously or openly, whatever they want, this material back to us so we can promote it and publicize it and call these people out, right? And also to create awareness of what their kids are walking into. And then the ultimate goal is Pack to School night, where these teachers or these parents can go in and not antagonize, but interview their teachers with material that they were not aware of last year. So go in prepared for the fight, and we want to build that up to arm the parents with that information. Then the last thing we're working on, and this is something that I think could be very, very cool, is we're constantly contacted by people across the country. Do you have a chapter here? Is there an affiliate? So on and so forth. And unfortunately, the answer is no. It gets a little bit complicated, and you're in a nonprofit world. You can kind of understand that. So we had created a separate website called parentsagainstcrt.com. And the idea there was to provide content, not so much posts that I put out there, but content to try to help people around the country. But the other thing that we're looking at doing is coming up with sort of a, and it's in the early stages. I'm working with, you have an accent. Are you in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I actually was stationed in Virginia Beach, Norfolk area for 13 years. So I was in Virginia for a long time, but I am from the Northeast. Yeah.
So I'm working with a company. It's a mid-sized company in Massachusetts. And the idea is to create a toolbox, because one of the big things that other communities, it's tough, right? They want to get involved in the fight, but when they hear they have to create a website and they don't know how to do it, all of a sudden the interest kind of drops, because now it's more than what they maybe were expecting to sign up for. Yeah. So the idea is to be able to create some sort of templated, if that's such a word, I don't even know, a website that's like a template, and license it out to organizations around the country and basically build the foundation, right? Build the repository of a lot of information, but then turn it over to them to put their own branding on there.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't do it to make a lot of money. We would do it to work to cover some of the costs associated with the back end operation of this company, and some administrative costs, but it would be on the cheap. But the point there would be, we'd be able to give other communities a big jump into getting ahead with getting that presence in their community. We would be able to stay detached from a legal perspective, because therefore we wouldn't be an affiliate or a chapter. And by undergoing the license agreement, we would help them with a lot of the content to get them off the ground, to get them going. while they can begin to add and build out their own, sort of customized pieces.
Okay. Wow. Well, Scott, it sounds like you've got a whole lot of things going. You've got a campaign that's making headway, and you've got a lot of initiatives that are happening. So grateful that you were pointed towards Give, Send, Go to use our platform and to continue, because every time somebody uses our platform, it raises awareness within that even community of our platform. So we've seen tremendous growth as a result of campaigns like yours and other campaigns in using our platform, and we are so thankful because it's the work of people like you that are doing some great things, just trying to bring an alternative viewpoint to the table and get the word out there about what you see happening, and that's what our platform's for. It's a platform for raising awareness about what things are near and dear to the hearts of people, and give people an opportunity, supporters an opportunity to be able to resource that. So I want to say thank you for coming on today and sharing about what you have going on. Do you have any last things that you'd like to share with the audience before we head out?
No, actually, I'd like to ask, just stay, you know what? I want to thank everybody that has contributed or donated to my campaign. One of the things that I found most difficult is trying to stay up on the thank yous. I find it very difficult, and that's a bad, good problem. And I wish there was more of a unique way to be able to thank everybody rather than trying to do it one at a time, because that's just not, it's not feasible. I wish there was a way to somehow thank everybody easily, because without you and your platform, right, I would never have had all these people, donate graciously to what I'm doing. So if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to try to help, be able to advance things.
Yeah. So we can take some of the conversation after offline about functional ways that we can actually help deliver some of those practical means of helping you deliver that customized response and thank you to campaign owners, just to make it easy, what ways we could think through that. But again, for those of you that are watching, the campaign link is givesendgo.com/stop CRT, givesendgo.com/stop CRT, a way that you can jump on and check out Scott's campaign, what they're doing, follow the campaign to get updates as they update it, and just see what movement is happening over there. Scott, definitely thank you for coming on today. Look forward to hearing updates as we move forward into the future. Again, like I said right at the beginning, this whole Give, Send, Go Spotlight is in its infancy stages. And so I'm thankful you were one of the willing to be a guinea pig for us to get this thing going. But we are definitely looking forward to bringing people back on that were here at the beginning as the audience continues to grow, and get updates from them on what things are happening and how they're continuing to, as we say at Give, Send, Go, shine brightly in the world around them. So thanks so much for being here, and
absolutely, thank you.
Great 4th of July weekend. Get outside, enjoy your time with your friends and family, and celebrate the freedom that we still have here in the United States.
You got it. Thank you very much.